Good morning, one and all. Mona Machos here, speaking to you on a beautiful Saturday, March 24th morning. I'm looking outside of the backyard. It's just beautiful. I see, little birds eating little worms, and it's just wonderful. Anyway, tomorrow, of course, is the Annunciation of the Blessed Theotokos, also Greek Independence Day. Hence, part of my title of up above. First of all, please take note of the comments above. This is somewhat of a general housekeeping type of thing, posting. I felt the need to explain some of the recent events in the way the blog is going. Not so much the video thing, but also the video thing, but why I sometimes jump in, probably where I shouldn't. So please read above and take note, and hopefully you will not be offended, and you'll forgive me, and you'll understand. You'll have a fuller understanding. Now, one reason I've gone to a 2-week, maybe sometimes 3-week video format is sometimes it's just easier for me to just respond when I have time to a whole bunch of comments. And it's just easier this way. Okay, that's part of the reasoning of the video log format. Okay, now. The title, the Archbishop, the President, and the Wall. Well, obviously, it was Archbishop Demetrius of the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese, the primate, visited the White House just the other day. And, the usual Greek Independence Day celebration. It's wonderful. Everybody has a good time, blah, blah, blah. It was somewhat disheartening that he spoke mainly about foreign policy. Basically, he carried water for the Greek government, which is a rabidly secularist, I'm not going to say anti-Christian, but post-Christian country, political system. And my father's from there. I've got relatives there. I've been there. That's not the Alada of my youth, the Greece of my youth. It just saddens me. And if anything, the Archbishop should register as a foreign agent. Otherwise, he's breaking the law, American law. The other thing is, it just doesn't seem that the GOA has learned its lesson. And they're going to just continue being a political arm of the Greek government and the Turkish government, too. Of course, that's all going to come to a head at one time or another, because the Greek and the Turkish governments are not going to see eye to eye on things in the near future, at some point in time anyway. Wouldn't it be better if we had a GOA that just preached the gospel? I think it would. But that's not going to happen, even though the Lord is chastising the GOA right now with tremendous financial difficulties from which they're not going to climb out of. Okay, now let's talk about the president. Obviously, he signed the omnibus spending bill yesterday, which I think was just a horrible thing to do. Just an absolutely horrible thing to do. I understand why he did that. He's fallen into the trap that all conservatives and Republicans tend to fall into. If this doesn't get signed, then soldiers and sailors and airmen and Marines will go on welfare. And that's true. A lot of them will. They haven't had a raise in years. As far as the equipment they're practicing with, a lot of it is just, it's crap. Okay? So it's not only a deadly profession during battle, it's a deadly profession during peacetime, because you have to have war games, you have to fire ammunition, you have to fire rockets and cannons and howitzers, ships have to sail. If they're cannibalizing parts from other ships, other tanks, other howitzers, then that's not a good thing, and that totally degrades battle preparedness. It also destroys morale. One thing you will say I can say about Trump is that he really does care about the military. And in this bill, there is a magnificent raise in pay. And and material preparedness for all grades of the military, all branches of the United States Armed Forces. And that's because Trump really believes in the military, as do most Republicans, quite a few Democrats, and definitely all conservatives. Here's the problem, though. How much of that military budget is spent on stuff that's wasteful, like transgendered operations, like teaching Kenyan kids about transgenderism, like God only knows what else. Really, the $800 hammer, stuff like that. So, and besides the fact that I think we have close to 700 military and naval and air bases overseas. Now, what if we could just draw those down? Think about that. This is how the military-industrial complex grabs us and keeps us hostage. I think it was Chuck Colson, when he was working for Nixon, said something very pithy. You'll forgive me. Grab them by their balls, and their hearts and minds will follow. For most Americans, the balls are the military. We have sons, daughters, husbands, wives, fathers, mothers, who are part and parcel of the military. And then there's the civilian section of our population, which is invested heavily in the military-industrial complex. A lot of us work for Martin Marietta, Boeing, General Electric, or we own stock in those companies. Well, that's what Eisenhower was talking about when he talked about the military-industrial complex. So Trump, I think foolishly, felt like he had to do this, otherwise we would, our soldiers, our servicemen, would suffer unnecessarily. I see the point. He said he's not going to do this again. Let's see. A silver lining is that another appropriations bill is going to come up for renewal in September. We'll see if the Republicans understand that they got taken by Chuck and Nancy. I hope they do. One thing to look for is, will Trump continue to clean house? If he fires the guy or guys who recommended that he go along with this, then we'll know he means business, and that there's a way to make a lemonade out of this lemon. The wall. There's funding for the wall, at least for the starting of the wall. I still have the feeling that Trump is going to get his wall one way or the other. Remember that there's a lot of pork in the bill, and there's a lot of money that can be shifted around to this, that, or the other. There is significant infrastructure spending, for instance. Well, the wall is part of the infrastructure. I wouldn't be surprised if parts of the wall start getting built. Remember, the wall does not have to be 1,800 feet long. There are hundreds of miles in which the terrain is impassable. There are literally cliffs. I mean, even if you're an Army Ranger, you can't scale it. Okay? We'll see. I'm being hopeful here. I'm being very hopeful, because yesterday I was not very happy. I decided to sleep on it before I made this video, and I did, and I think I'm seeing things in a little bit clearer of a light. Along the lines of firing people, being serious. Well, he fired Rex Tillerson. I like Rex Tillerson. Didn't like the way he did it, but I understand. Pompeo is like Rex Tillerson in this respect. He sees China as a greater threat than Russia. That's huge. That's a huge baby step. Okay. He got rid of McMaster. I'm very happy about that. McMaster was a leaker. He's a swamp creature extraordinaire. Okay. When I first heard of McMaster, I found out that Bill Kristol liked him. As far as that's concerned, that's it. If Bill Kristol likes somebody, I hate him. Okay, Bill Kristol is that odious of a figure to me. I truly despise him. Unfortunately, he replaced him with a madman, John Bolton. this is one of those times in which you have to pick your poison. Do you want to have a madman on your side or a traitor? Well, I think if you are trying to shore up your base and put in an America Firster, admittedly a neocon, but definitely an America Firster, unlike Bill Kristol, unlike the rest of the neocons who are Israel Firsters. Okay, I would rather have, in that sense, I would rather have John Bolton. And we'll see how this plays out. I hope the Trump group continues to fire people, especially that bozo or bozos who recommended that he sign this bill instead of following his gut. His gut is always right. He should have vetoed it. Just veto it. The other silver lining I see is that since this is going to come up for renewal in September, well, that's 2 months before the election. That's an eternity away from now, but it's real close to the election. A lot of pressure can be put on a lot of people, not just Democrats, but Republicans. Hopefully, Trump will have learned his lesson. He is a quick study. In the meantime, let's Pax Vobiscum. Let's try to love one another. Adios.